Horace Vernet, la prise de Constantinople, le 13 octobre 1837. This painting is presented in the Château de Versailles. You have a lot of paintings of that kind there. It's quite large, 5 meters, 12 centimeters high, 5 meters, 18 centimeters long. It's almost a square. And it's absolutely typical of this style of Vernet. Baudelaire hated Vernet for this kind of precision, accumulation of elements, you know, without any ordering, any construction, any sense of the necessity of the construction, you know. Because you understand that if a painting is produced, is a tableau, excuse me, is a tableau. If a tableau is produced as a world, it means that, as he says, it has a kind of impulse behind. And here there is no impulse. Everything is static. Everything is, you know, and the painting is a purely accumulation. It's a pure accumulation. It's a juxtaposition. There is no drive behind. So it's an image, exactly. Voilà. This is a good example of the negative idea of an image you could oppose to the tableau. The image has something which doesn't have any autonomy as an object. The opposite of the picture, as I said. But here it's the opposite of the tableau. And Delaroche, of course, you know, because there is one of his most famous paintings here in the National Gallery. It's not bad, but for sure it's completely theatrical. You see the difference with Delacroix, it's quite clear. And for sure, it's theatrical because, yes, what do we say when we say it's theatrical? Here you can understand. Each figure is isolated on the stage. That's why it is theatrical. The figures are not linked together by the paint, by the work of the paint. That's what we call theatrical. When the figures are detached from the ground, but not detached only to appear as volume, because, as you know, every good painting, the figure must be detached in a way from the ground, but is detached from the ground as well as from the other figures. It means that there is no more link between the figures as on a stage, on a theatrical stage, where the bodies, I mean the actors, are communicate, but are individually, bodily separated. In the painting by Delacroix, as you remember, all the elements were intertwined by the work of painting. As the way the elements are intertwined also in Joyce's writing. It's what Hamilton noticed. You remember? He noticed this. He said, weaved. The idea of weaving. Here there is no weaving. Not 1 second. Nothing is weaved. It's efficient. It's not a bad tableau. I mean, it's okay. I mean, when you see it, it's okay. You look. Well. But of course, it's not. It's exactly what Baudelaire wanted to forget, in a way, to put aside. Because if you like Delacroix, you cannot like this. If you think that Delacroix is modern, you cannot think that this is modern too. You have to choose. Let's go back to this beautiful text. You see that there are two comparisons in the first sentence. The comparison of the tableau with a dream, or with dreaming. It's not exactly the same. Because in French, fidèle est égal au rêve qu'il a enfanté. Au rêve qu'il a enfanté, in this sentence, okay, it is a dream, you will translate the dream. But it's not that dream, you know, it is the dream in a more, you can understand it as more generally the activity of dreaming. More than one specific dream. Okay? So, there are two comparisons. One with the dream or dreaming, and the second one with the world. What I told you before about this idea that a tableau is about subjectivity, that a tableau is a composition of a subjective experience, is clearly that this idea of the tableau as a world is not only the external world. No, it's not geographical. It's even more the internal world, the world of the mind, the mental world, psychic world, if you prefer. Psychic more than geographical, you know. It's not the idea. It's not only the idea of the world. You know, it's why I told you the tableau as a world and not the world tableau. It's not the tableau of the world. It's the tableau as a world. And this world is mental, psychic as well, much more than geographical. And it's very important because Baudelaire is again this idea of the tableau as a study of a piece of land. In a way, Baudelaire is anti-geographical. No, I'm serious. That's something which is never said, but it's very important. He is anti-geographical. He is again the idea that you can give a definition of the world in geographical terms, which are the terms of the description or the view. If it's again this idea of a tableau as a window, it's very clearly that because it's again this idea that the painter can deal with a piece of land, that the painter can make a tableau out of a study of a piece of land. Now, just to finish today, you are aware, I mean, you understand, I suppose, that I use the French word tableau, the French meaning of but there is an English sense of tableau. And it's why it was difficult 20 years ago. I mean, I remember when I started to write about the tableau in the 80s, when my texts were translated, tableau was always translated by picture, because the translators were systematically telling me that a tableau in English was a tableau vivant, and that my idea of tableau had nothing to do with that, and that it was a picture. And I was saying, no, it's not. And they said, yes, but otherwise, if we write tableau, there would be a misunderstanding. And it was so much so that, as I told you, sometimes I preferred to use picture directly, knowing that the text would be translated. So, but now it's easier because the French sense of tableau became more frequent in the literature on art than the English sense. But the English sense is still interesting. And we have it also in French, because we have also in French tableau vivant. And it's what I want to show you now. And it's very important. Why? Because it means that the tableau as a form, I mean, with all this background, I reconstituted in a way. It shows that this idea, formal idea of the tableau, this idea of the tableau as a form, has a counterpart on the other side, which we have just seen, which is the side of theater. Because the tableau vivant is exactly on the side of theater. It is when painting goes to theater. It's when painting is no more about visual composition on a plane, but about theater, painted theater. And we saw the difference between Delaroche and Delacroix. Delaroche is painted theater. The tableau is a painted theater. But behind this idea of the tableau as a painted theater, you have the sense of the tableau as tableau vivant. And this idea of the tableau vivant, you have it in modern art. And you have it especially in the work of Kinnars. And I want to show you some examples of that. And some examples of this work by Kinnars. I think Kinnars is a very good artist, huh? Very, very interesting artist. So of course we are with Kinnars on the other side. But you see the point. The big difference between Delaroche and Kinnars is that Delaroche, he makes theater in a painted tableau. Kinnars make the tableau itself as theater. I mean, make the tableau as theater. The tableau becomes directly theater, theatrical. The tableau becomes a set. You know, the composition becomes a set, becomes a decor. So then you have this idea of the decor, which is so important, which is not the environment. You will read everywhere environment. But this word environment says everything and nothing. When you look at Kinnars, you don't see an environment, you see a decor. And this is much more precise because this relates to theater. The same with Brottas. What he makes at the end of his life is decor. This idea is, I think, very important. Alors, you have to know that Kinnars himself named these kind of works tableau. He used the word tableau to name them. So this is the first example. It is a famous Roxy's. And then you have the birthday, la naissance. Alors, the first one was 61. It's just a detail, it's much bigger, huh? Roxy's. Actually, It is, alors, that's very interesting. It is a tableau vivant, donc, in the sense of tableau vivant, but composed of 8 assemblages. So, the tableau is composed, but in the theatrical way. It's composed of assemblage. It's composed of elements which are themselves assembled. And then you have the birthday. Le tableau. What is a tableau in that case? In that case, le tableau, and you see it very clearly, is a dramatization in the first sense of the word. In dramatization, you have drama, which means theater. It's a theatralization, but it's very bad theatralization. No, dramatization is the proper term. It's a dramatization of the assemblage. Voilà, that's the point. That's what Kinnars produced. He was not the only one, but he's the one who made it the best. Kinnars, Edward Kinnars. No, there is no T. No T. No T. K-I-N-H-O-R-Z. So this one is 64. You see a different view of it. And then this one, which is very funny. The title is, I don't have it in English, only in French. Tandis que des visions de prunes confites dansent dans leur tête. So, this is in 64. And then this one, which is terrifying, the wait, l'attente. It is the most horrible one. It reminds you of the film by Hitchcock, Psycho. That's a kind of gothic content. And this is the detail. And more.
What's the title of
The wait, l'attente. The weight of death and what will come with death. I mean, or after death. I mean, you know, that's you know, the weight as a human condition. So, you know, we are in full pathos, total pathos. I mean, the most extreme pathos with the most extreme, how to put it, melodramatic. It's in that situations. There is nothing subtle there. The complexity is just coming from the quality of the decor. And the composition of the figures, but let's say the philosophical content is quite banal. The quality of Kinnars is not intellectual sophistication. It is a sophistication in terms of composition, construction composition.
Machine.
In a way, yes, a very good machine. Alors, something which we forget sometimes, is that this comes from a very old tradition. And the tradition, and I'm sure you will learn something there, because I know that most people don't know. A tradition which interested a lot a very good, very important British writer. And this writer is Samuel Butler. Maybe you don't know, but Samuel Butler was also a photographer. And he was very interested in that. He used to study very seriously these very specific compositions of painted figures, painted three-dimensional figures assembled in these kind of tableaux vivants, which were telling this most of the time, not only, but most of the time, the story of Christ. And sometimes some stories also of the Old Testament. And these things were produced mainly in the north of Italy. It's very specific. And you have in the north of Italy several groups of chapels, chapels, groups of chapels on mounds, on little mounds, which are called sacred, which are said sacred, and in each chapel you have one of these scenes from the Old or the New Testament. The most wonderful group of these chapels is in Varallo. It's the Sacromonte di Varallo. It tells in, I don't remember how many chapels, the life of Christ. And Butler wrote a lot about these works and these chapels, and especially the chapels of Varallo. And I will show you some of his photographs. So this is not a photograph of him, but a photograph of mine, which shows the Lecce Homo in Varallo. No, this is not this is not a photograph of mine. No, not at all. This is the one where you see Butler. But where is he, Butler? I don't see him. No, this is no. Yes. No, this is Lecce Homo, as you can see it now, and then here you see Butler. No, where is he, Butler? Here Butler. Here you see Butler, posing beside one of the figures. When he did his photographs, he was able to enter the tableau. Now you cannot do it anymore. So you imagine you could go through. You could enter. You could enter the tableau. You see how different it is. And this is theater. Theater is when, in a way, you can enter. You don't do it. For example, let's be clear. In the tradition of Italian theater, there are actors on a scene, and you are in your seats, and you are separated from the stage. Good. But you can always go on the stage. It's possible. No, but it's totally possible. You can go if you want. Maybe it will make a little trouble, but you can do it. It's exactly what he does there. He go inside. That's what is theater. That's a big difference. A painting, excuse me, you cannot go into it. Bodily, you cannot go into the painting. You cannot go into the tableau when the tableau is what I was describing this morning. So these are his photographs. You see, it's so interesting. It is so fascinating that this guy, Butler, was studying, because he was really going there and studying. Huh? He studied. I mean, studied the painters who were, because a very important painter was involved in because it started in the 16th century. The main production was 17th, and then it went until the 18th century. But it started in the 16th century with a major painter of that, of this northern part of Italy, who is, Gaudenzio Ferrari. He's a very, very important painter, Gaudenzio Ferrari. So, you know, it was not something marginal. It was something which was really part of the pictorial culture of the time. It's why I insist. You see, it's not a little thing. I mean, there is no equivalent of it in England. There is no equivalent in France. But it was very important in the country where, at the time, painting was 100 times more developed than anywhere else in Europe. So you see, this idea of the tableau, the English sense of the tableau vivant, must not be forgotten. Even if you follow the track I was describing this morning, which is the main one, this one, the other side, the theatrical side, must be taken into account. And it's important to do it because it gives you the other side. I mean, I cannot say it better, the theatrical side.